Hello, my name is Lizzie, and this is Lizzie's Literary Life, and today I am bringing you episode 1 of my new knitting podcast, Fiber Feelings. So typically I talk about books on this channel, and sometimes I will talk about my other hobbies, my knitting, my crochet, my making, in relation to books. But today, this video has nothing to do with books. We are exclusively talking about knitting and crochet and crafts in this video. So if that is not what you're here for, goodbye. And if you're here to talk about yarn with me, welcome. If you're unfamiliar with the concept of a knitting podcast, first of all, I say knitting podcast because that's what it's called, like the format, but I will be talking about my crochet. I do probably equal parts knitting and crochet right now. I am more experienced with crochet. I'm newer to knitting, but I do both, and I will talk about both in these videos. The typical format for a knitting podcast, if you are unfamiliar, is that we first talk about finished objects, so things I've finished recently. Then we talk about whips, works in progress, and then at the end we talk about acquisitions, so like new yarns that have been purchased and what I plan to do with them. So we are going to follow that traditional knitting podcast format today. I have some coffee here, and I have all my projects that I want to talk about here as well. So let's get into it. My first finished object is actually this cardigan that I am wearing right now. This is the Step-by-Step cardigan by Florence Miller. Like I said, I'm pretty new to knitting. This is basically my third knit project. I made a hat just to learn, and then I made the Step-by-Step sweater by Florence Miller. And then I wanted to do a cardigan, and I was already familiar with Florence's patterns. I know they're easy to follow, and she has the video tutorial for the step-by-steps also. So I went with the step-by-step cardigan. I love this thing. I highly recommend Florence Miller's step-by-step patterns for beginner knitters. They're so easy to follow. It teaches you how to read a pattern alongside the video tutorial helps you actually learn the techniques. And I just think they're such well-written, solid patterns. I will link all of the patterns I talk about and maybe all of the yarns also that I talk about in the description. Speaking of yarn, and I will maybe insert some easier to see pictures of this cardigan since it's on my body. But it fits really well, by the way. I really like it. I maybe wish it was a little bit longer. But that's okay. That's on me and not on the pattern. Because I did try it on and I was like, this is probably fine. And then it's a little bit shorter than I want it, but that's okay. This yarn is Madeline Tosh Vintage in the color, tart, in the color tart. And it's this beautiful, variegated red. It's a very nice yarn. It's a beautiful yarn. It is 100% superwash merino. And I really like it. It's super soft. It is not cheap per skein, but I got 3 skeins of it at the Webb's tent sale. If you are unfamiliar, Webb's is a yarn store, and also they are online at yarn.com, and but they're brick and mortar stores in my area. So and every year they do a tent sale where they're just clearing out stock, and they do highly discounted stuff. And they have tents outside, and they just have boxes and boxes and boxes of really discounted yarns. So I got 3 skeins of this at the tent sale, and then I got a couple more online. I think 3 more, but I maybe could have gotten away with getting 2 more. So this was not a cheap cardigan to make, but I love it. I wear it pretty frequently. I wear it to work. I wear it all the time. I did not do any like alternating skeins or anything for the hand dyed. And maybe I should have, but I don't mind any sort of like striping. I think it gives a cool effect. I like the way the color variation turned out. And I get comments on it all the time. And I get to say, thanks, I made it. And then people are like, what? So that's always, the best thing to hear as someone who makes things. I did buttonholes. I'm very proud of my buttonholes. I did 4 buttonholes. You can see. The one at the bottom is like kind of messy, but because that was the first one I did. But the other 3 I think are really nice and neat, and I give full credit to that to Florence's video tutorial. She shows there's 2 ways of doing buttonholes, I guess, on a double knit button band. And this I did the way where you like go out and back and you like slip stitches or like do yarn overs to skip stitches. I don't know how to describe it, but you don't have to break the yarn at any point doing your buttonholes. So that was really nice. And I used these buttons that I actually got, I think, from Michael's just because I was there and I saw them and I thought they would work. As for like the construction of this cardigan, it's a simple raglan. So it's really basic, all in one piece, top down, try on as you go. It is knitted flat, obviously. It's not steeked or anything. So that was sort of a chore knitting flat, but I didn't mind it too much. Maybe I'm forgetting how much I minded it, but it's okay. I did it and I love it, the finished object, very much. I really like the double knit button band. It's the only cardigan I've knit. So like, I don't know how I would feel about like a ribbed button band, but I just think the double knit button band is so beautiful. And I think it finishes off the cardigan really nicely. This yarn hasn't pilled too much, like a little bit. As I'm looking at it, I'm like picking off a couple little pills, but for the most part, it's held up very well. I haven't washed it since I blocked it. But yeah, I've worn it quite a bit and it's wearing really well. Despite the fact that I'm picking fuzzes off, but fuzzes happen. And this has held up really well, I think. So yeah, this is my first finished object, step-by-step cardigan by Florence Miller in Madeline Tosh Vintage. And I just love it. I'm so proud of myself, honestly. Okay, my second finished object that I've finished recently. I've already showed on this channel because it is sort of book related, but I'm going to talk more about the crafting element of it in this video. Let me make sure I don't knock my mic with it. This is my 2025 genre blanket. Let me see if I can I'll insert a picture of it as well. But this is what it looks like. Yeah, so the book concept is that each square represents a month and each round on the square is a book that I read in that month, and the color represents the genre. So this is June, when I read a lot of books. This is October, when I did not read a lot of books. But I've done a genre blanket project. This was my 4th one. And they've all been a little bit different. This one is based on the linen stitch square temperature blanket pattern by TL Yarn Crafts. This is crochet. This is linen stitch, crochet linen stitch, or moss stitch, which I believe are the same thing. And I did the 12 squares and then I attached them with a whip stitch. This yarn is from Hobby. It is the Amigo Chunky 100% acrylic yarn. I needed to go with a really chunky yarn because the temperature blanket pattern that it's based on uses a DK or a light worsted, but that has like 31 at least rounds per square. Whereas here, the most books I read in a month was 18 in June. So I knew I wasn't going to have as many rounds, obviously, as a temperature blanket would. So I needed chunkier yarn to make it like blanket sized. I'm really happy with the size. I used a 9mm hook for this, which is like huge. But I had a really good time making it. I don't really have a lot to say about this one that I haven't already said in other videos, I guess. But I did just want to show it off. I really like the border. The border colors are in the order of least to most read genres. So the beige is nonfiction. The like peacocky blue is historical fiction and classics. The green, dark green is mystery thriller. Light blue is contemporaries and romances. And the sage green is fantasy and sci-fi. And it's this yarn, I've washed it once to like sort of block it, and I've been using it a lot. It is not holding up as well as I would like, especially for an acrylic. I feel like this is my 2024 blanket right here, and this is a in Plymouth Encore, which is an acrylic wool blend, and I feel like it's holding up really, really well after a couple of washes. This is already like, I don't know, it's very soft. It's very soft and chunky and squishy, and I really like using it. But it's also, I don't know, I feel like it just doesn't look as clean and nice. I don't know if I can show, like, it just, I don't know, not as clean edges as I would like, but that's okay. I used a lot of the navy, and I actually ran out of yarn twice, multiple times. Like early in the year, when I first ordered the yarn for this, I didn't know how many of each color I would need, so I just ordered like a couple of each color. I wasn't worried about dye lots because it's hobby yarn is bulk, and I don't really feel like I need to be concerned about that. But I did another order kind of midway through the year that was mostly more navy, and then when I was finishing it off at the end of the year, and I was like doing the navy borders to make them all the same size, and then whip stitching them together, I got most of the way through the border on December, and I ran out of navy, and so I ordered another ball, which like I had to pay shipping for just the one ball, and I should have gotten two because I whip stitched them all together, and then I wanted to do another navy row of navy on the border all the way around to tie it all together, and I did not make it all the way around. But I did, we'll talk about in acquisitions, I did another hobby order for other things, and I did get another ball. So at some point, I'm calling this done, it's a finished object, but at some point I am going to go around the edge with another row of navy now that I have more navy yarn. But this guy is my second finished object. I'm really happy with it. I love having these book blankets to really summarize my reading year, and I think they're so fun, and I highly recommend them as a project. They're better than temperature blankets because it's not 365. Like, I read 101 books last year, so there's 101 colored rounds and then the navy, and rather than 365 colored rounds plus whatever border you do. So highly recommend the book blanket as a project. Then the third finished object I have to show you is also knit. It is the Falling Leaves scarf by Heery's Makes, I think is the designer's name. I'm just gonna put it on my head, like, I don't know. This is, I started it in November, or like late October, as intending to be a gift for a friend whose birthday is in mid-November. And it is now February. I'm filming this on February 1st, and I have not yet given it to her, but I did finish it. I was waiting to talk about it in this video before I package it up and send it off to her. But this is a beautiful lace scarf with this falling leaf motif. I really love it. I think it's beautiful. I was definitely light on gauge. Like, it was supposed to have, so like the way this is constructed, you start at one end, and then there's the first chart that gives you like, I don't remember which end I started with, but the first chart gives you like this much. And then there's chart 2, which is like this much. And then you just repeat chart 2 until it's long enough. And then you do chart 3, which is the other end. And the pattern was like, okay, repeat chart 2 or 3 times. I repeated chart 2 like 8 times. So yeah, I don't know what's up with that. It didn't have like a gauge to measure. I just like did what I wanted the fabric to look like with the yarn that I wanted to use. This yarn is Valley Yarns, which is Webbs's local brand. Valley Superwash Sport in the color Natural. It's really soft. I really like it. It is a gorgeous cream color. And I really liked it. I used a 4.5 millimeter needles, 4.5 millimeter needles. And as I've talked about, like, I'm a pretty new knitter, and, this was really challenging. It was really challenging, but I learned a lot. I learned how to read a lace chart, like on Stitch Fiddle and stuff. And I learned a lot of different like decreases and, yarn overs and all of these things. So I'm really proud of myself for putting this together. The reason, like, I feel like if I was a more experienced knitter, I could have done it. And also if I had used a thicker yarn, I could have done it in the 3 weeks that I initially had intended to, but I struggled with it partially because it's just a difficult pattern, but like for a beginner knitter, but partially because I just had to focus on it so much. I couldn't bring it anywhere. I couldn't do it while I was talking to anyone. I could barely do it while watching TV because I needed to reference the pattern or the chart every single row. So it was just took a lot of focus for me, but it is finally done. I'm really happy with it. I hope my friend loves it, and I'm really pleased. And those are my finished objects. Obviously, like, this is the first episode. I've finished other things, but those are the 3 things that I've finished recently. And then when I do future episodes of this, hopefully I will be including everything that I've finished in between the 2 episodes. We are going to go into whips. The first whip that I want to talk about is my book blanket, except it's not a blanket, project for 2026. This I have already talked about on the channel, but I'm going to re-explain my idea because now I have a little bit of it to show you. I wanted to do, instead of a blanket, I wanted to do like a wall hanging, like tapestry type thing. And I wanted it in like pinks and yellows, bright, springy colors, because that kind of fits with the decor in the spot that I want to put it. I felt like I had enough crochet blankets. I wasn't going to do a book tracking project this year, and then I was like, oh no, I really want to. And then I had this idea and I ran with it. So this is the beginnings of, the ends are not at all woven in, but this is the beginnings of said project. It is these vertical stripes. This is the first 5 books I read. I've read a couple books, finished a couple books since I updated this, but this is the first 5 books I've read. So we start with this pink stripe, which is my contemporary romance color, and then we have yellows for fantasy sci-fi, and then browns for nonfiction. But what I think is cool is the lengths of each stripe are based on the length of the book. So the 2 fantasy sci-fis I read were really long. They were not quite the same length, but they were like pretty close. And then the other books were shorter, so they're shorter stripes. And This is not a pattern. It just was an idea I had to do this vertical stripe, different length thing. It's just single crochets. This, by the way, is Hobby Friends Cotton 8/4. So it's a like light or like a fingering weight cotton, so that I can go with 100, however many books all the way across and not have it be huge. Like, I had this idea to do the vertical stripes, and I thought my first plan was to go down with single crochet, back up with single crochet, and then if the next row was longer, I would go down, and then I would do foundation single crochets to go as far as I needed to, and then I would go back up, you know, like that, and they would all be joined up here. I would start my rows up here, go down and up and down and up, and then if I needed to go longer, I would do foundation single crochets to make it longer. That did not work the way I expected it to, because, and I still don't quite know how the math's on this. Like, I just can't wrap my head around it. I don't know why. But when I was doing that, if I wanted the books from January to December to go left to right, which is this way for me, but I think it's this way for you, I don't know, left to right, then this side, which is like the wrong side, would have been showing. And I wanted this side to show, which is like technically the right side. It has the like zigzag that single crochet makes. I wanted that side to be in the front, like showing, facing the right side, and I wanted it to go left to right, and it just wasn't working. And so what I figured out I needed to do is start each row from the bottom and go like up and down, and then chain down and go up and down, and then chain, like, and then if I'm going shorter, I tie it off and I start with a standing single crochet wherever I'm gonna start. That was a long-winded explanation. I hope it made sense to the crocheters in the crowd. But it like took me a while to figure it out. But now I have this figured out. My main concern is this twisting. I'm hoping that like with blocking, I can not have it twist, or like when there's more, it won't twist. My other problem solving potential is to do like, I could do some sort of like charm or bead at the bottom that's like weighted and would weigh it down, and I could do colors based on like rating or something of those. That's just like sort of an idea, but right now like it's kind of twisting, but we'll see. So yeah, Hobby Friends Cotton 8/4. I'm using a 3.5 millimeter hook. And I have 5 colors for the 5 genre categories that I use. And then I have a separate color that I'm going to use to go across the top to like hang it on a dowel or something at the end of the year. But yeah, this is my year-long whip that I'm really excited about. And then I have 2 more whips for you, because I have a rule for myself that I'm only allowed to have 3 whips at a time. This whole year. And I also am only allowed to read 3 books at a time all year. Those are rules that I have created for myself to hopefully become more of a monogamous crafter and a monogamous reader. Or, you know, 3 is not monogamous, but closer. So the next whip that I have for you, let me grab it. So this is going to be a hexagon cardigan for my friend Adriana from Carbon Bonded Books. So currently it's just a hexagonal piece of fabric. It is not granny stitch. This is crochet. It is not granny stitch. It is following the Day Date cardigan pattern by Make and Do Crew, which I've actually already made twice. And this is my 3rd time making it. So this is the armpit, and it works outwards, and you do 2 of these and then you join them and do like other shaping type things. So the stitch pattern is like 1 row is double crochet, chain 1, and then the next one is like solid double crochets. The thing that's different is that this, with this one to the other 2 that I've done, is that this is a much lighter weight yarn than the pattern calls for. So I'm sort of like the stitch counts and the row counts and everything, I'm sort of making up, just using measurements. And we'll see how it goes. I'm confident in my abilities. This is my third time making this pattern. I do feel like I know enough about the construction of this pattern and also of crochet garments in general to like sort of self-draft based on the pattern. This yarn is, I have a full skein to show you. This yarn is Kelburn Woolens Mojave, which is a 60% cotton, 40% linen blend. This is in the color plum brown. It's like a purpley brown, browny purple. Adriana, my friend who this is for, picked out this yarn actually at a local yarn store where she lives in Portland and gave me the yarn, and I will be gifting her the cardigan in return. And I really like working with this yarn, actually. I've never worked with a linen before. It does split a little bit as I go, but it's gonna be a really nice finished object, I think, because it's so lightweight. And the goal is to have it be like a summery summer cardigan layering piece, and I think it's gonna work really well for that. I'm using a 4.5 millimeter hook. Because I'm messing with gauge generally, I did a couple swatches in this stitch pattern with a couple different hook sizes, and I had her choose what kind of density she wanted, and she chose the 4.5. So it is, I feel like, going to take forever because it's very lightweight, and it's a full-size garment, but I feel like I've made decent progress with this so far, and I'm really excited about it. It's very, especially making these hexagons is very mindless. It's just a 2-row repeat, so it's really easy to work on while chatting, while doing whatever, watching TV or anything, listening to an audiobook, whatever. So I'm really happy with this project. I am looking forward to seeing where it goes. And then my third whip I have to show you. I'm going to show you the yarn first. It's all caked up. But this is Barocco Vintage DK in the color Calico. And I got this yarn for two purposes. The first purpose is to swatch for a sweater I'm going to be making in this yarn later this year, not in this color, but in the Barocco Vintage DK. And so I'm going to be making this sibling sweater for my nephew's 3rd birthday. And I really wanted it to be perfect because I am so excited to be gifting something to my nephew and his family, and I just really wanted it to turn out really nicely. So I did 2 swatches. I did this swatch, which I swatched in the round to check gauge, and at post blocking I was right on gauge with a 4.5 millimeter needle, just about right on gauge, a little bit tight. I'm a tight knitter and a tight crocheter. Your girl is tense. I was just about right on gauge, a little tight with the 4.5 millimeter, but I'm going to be sizing up anyway so that it will fit him for longer. So I think if it's a little smaller than the slightly larger size, it's still okay. He'll still grow into it. So this was the first swatch I did. And then I did this little swatch. I just did it flat because I hate swatching in the round. But I wanted to, make sure my gauge was right. I did this swatch that I'm going to throw in the washer, and maybe the dryer too. The yarn says dry flat, but I also saw a blog post that said you can tumble dry it. So I'm going to throw it in the washer and dryer just to see how it holds up, so I can pass on those instructions to the parents once I make the final sweater of it's gonna shrink in the dryer, so don't put it in the dryer, or it's fine to wash and dry. So yeah, these swatches were kind of the first reason I bought that yarn, but then I also of course had all this left over. So I am making this headband. This is the Frida headband by, let's see, it's just a free pattern on Ravelry by Atelier Amelie. I don't know. It's just a free pattern on Ravelry. It's really simple. I didn't even really need a pattern for it necessarily, but it's just a double knit, double stockinette long tube that you then like fold and sew together into that little twist. You'll see it on the screen. So I'm just doing double knitting, double stockinette here. I'm using a 4mm needle to get this really nice tight fabric. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's, you know, simple, easy. I'm hoping to have this like little ear warmer headband for running outside. So I'm hope to have it done soon so that I can use it to run in like late February, March. But yeah, that's my third whip. I don't have a lot to say about it. I don't think, because it's a super simple pattern that I just, like, I wanted some sort of ear warmer for running, and I thought this would be nice. I love this color. It's like ever so slightly, like, I don't know if heathered is the word. I think heathered is the word. Ever so slightly heathered. It's got some white in it as well, and I just think it looks really nice, and the yarn is really soft, and I'm glad I get to work with it a little bit before I start my sibling sweater. So this is my third whip. And finally, we have some acquisitions. So the first acquisitions I want to talk about are my hobby order. You saw a couple of the colors for my 2026 book tapestry in that whip, but I want to show you all the colors together because I think they look really nice, and then the couple other things I got in the hobby order to get free shipping. So this is the color scheme for that genre tapestry. These are all Friends Cotton 8-4. I always want to say A4, but that's not what it is. It's 8-4. And I love it. And then the neutral color I have, sorry for the crinkle, to go across the top is this mauve. So I think these colors are lemon curd, pinkberry smoothie, cappuccino, misty violet, and oatmeal. And then this neutral is dusty mauve. I'm really happy with them. I do like when I'm ordering like cotton or acrylic, I feel like hobby is a great place to get it because the pricing is just so good, the bulk pricing. If you need a lot of it, I think it's just a great place to order from. I know they've come out with like some wool yarns recently, but I have not tried them. And then also in the hobby order, I got that last skein of navy for this. And I got 2 little accessory things to fill out my order. The first I haven't even opened yet. It is this bird needle threader, which is sort of for my wife for her cross stitch, but it's just so cute. You put the needle on the little bird's beak, if you can see, and then there's like a little notch for the thread, and you pull it through. I think it's so cute. And then the other thing I got is these stitch markers. They are little hexagon stitch markers, and they have bees on them. Some of them have bees on them. So there's different sizes of little hexagons. And then there's also ones with bees for like beginning of round. I think they're so cute. They don't open, so they are just knitting stitch markers rather than crochet or like progress keepers. But I think they are so cute, and I'm so excited to use them when I have a project that requires stitch markers, knit stitch markers, and they're so cute. They came in this little box, and I think they're so cute. So that's my hobby order. The next set of acquisitions I have, I'm going to put some of this stuff away and then talk to you about. My next set of acquisitions are the purchases that I made at Rhinebeck. So Rhinebeck is the New York State Sheep and Wool Festival. I went last year in October, whenever it was, and I bought some yarn, and I have not yet showed it to you on this channel. I feel like this is the perfect place to show you my Rhinebeck purchases. So my goal was to get some really fun variegated yarns to use as contrast color in a color work project, because I cannot afford a sweater's quantity of Rhinebeck yarn. Like, I just can't. But I also didn't want to just make accessories, because I don't know. Like, I sometimes make accessories, but I like garments. So the first skeins. I got 2 skeins of this Bumblebee Acres Fiber Farm Autumn Walk colorway in their squishy DK base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. I wanted this in one of their other DK bases, but they were out of it. Like, I saw it earlier in the day and I was like, I like this, but I don't know. And then I went back and they only had it in this squishy DK base, which is more of kind of a sock yarn, but I'm going to use it for a sweater anyway. I love this colorway. Here's the other one. I love the autumnal green, red, orange, beautiful, leafy colorway. I don't know exactly what pattern I'm going to make with this yet, but some sort of color work yoke with like a neutral cream beige color as the main color, and then this as the contrast color, I think would be so cool. I loved all of the yarns that this stall had at Rhinebeck. They had like book themed collections. They had an ACOTAR collection and like a Outlander collection and a Jane Austen collection, and it was super cool. This was from their seasonal collection because I really wanted something autumnal, and I feel like I really found it. And then the other skeins of colorwork yarn I got are these from 100 Ravens. This is their worsted base in the color Squash Blossom. These are gorgeous, I think. They're like pinky red, orange, peachy colors. It's worsted, 100 grams to 18 yards, superwash merino wool. I think they're gorgeous. And again, I would love to do like the Harriet sweater, or, though I think that's DK, or like the Lumi pullover in this with, again, maybe like a grayish base color, mushroomy color, and this is the contrast color. I think would be gorgeous. I just love these. I love the variegation, and I think they're gorgeous. And then the last thing I purchased at Rhinebeck was 3 balls of this Yarn Citizen Luxe Trinity Cashmere in the color Aubergine. Now this is 49% super baby alpaca, 39% mulberry silk, and 12% cashmere. It just is luscious. It just is so, so soft. And my plan with this was to go to Webs and find a comparable color to hold with this and make a Sophie hood. And I did go to Webs and I did find that color, and that is this, which just dropped something, which is Cascade 220 Superwash in the color 283. I don't know what the color name is, but this is Superwash wool. And I think they go so nicely together. I think they're going to make such a beautiful Sophie hood that's going to be so soft and luxurious. And I just am so excited. So yeah, those are my acquisitions and some plans. I think pretty close to up next, once something is, one of my wishes is done, is this Sophie hood. I also have probably the sibling sweater coming up pretty soon. I also need to learn how to do color work because I have so many color work projects planned. So those are some projects on the horizon, but I have yapped long enough. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talking about yarn. This is so exciting for me to have a knitting podcast, fully yarny video on this channel. If you liked this, if you are new here, subscribe. I mostly talk about books, but I will be doing this Fiber Feelings podcast every, month or two when I have some finished objects and stuff to show. And I hope you will stick around and subscribe. Comment down below what you were working on while you were watching this video, if you were working on something, or comment down below, I don't know, something like this video. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one, coming very soon. Bye!